Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, welcome to another workshop conducted by Mind Tribe. I am Kanishka Pawar and I work as a psychologist here at Mind Tribe. We have with us a few more psychologists who will be introducing themselves. I have experience in cases related to depression, relationship issues, anxiety, body image issues, along others. And we all will be presenting a workshop on what happens in Vegas today. I hope we have a good and interactive sessions. Before we begin, there are a few things that I would just like to let you know. There are a few rules that we should follow. Please keep your cameras and mics off. If you have any doubt, then you can use the raise hand button and unmute yourself, or you can even type in the chat box. And since this is a public workshop, kindly maintain decorum and respect. I'd also like to inform you that this workshop will be recorded and it will be posted on our various pages, Mind Tribe pages. And if there's anything that is very confidential that you would not like, that the public should hear or know about, um, please, keep that in mind that this workshop is recorded. So my name is Kanishka Pawar, and over to you, Guntasha. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our workshop today. So, my name is Natasha Sabharwal, and I'm also a counselor with Mind Tribe. And I specialize in cases of depression, anxiety, and emotional regulation. And I'm hoping that today, with our workshop, everyone gets to interact and learn some practical strategies to understand how the vagus nerve works for us. And looking forward to the interaction. Over to you, Leanne.
Thank you, Guntasha. Hello, everyone. My name is Leanne. I'm a psychologist here at Mind Tribe as well. Some of the past experiences I've had with my clients include areas of depression, anxiety, body image issues, and I've got a lot of interesting tips and hacks that you can use in your daily life. And we're definitely looking forward to hearing from you on how you'd be implementing this and how it has been going for you this far. Over to you, Harshita.
Thank you, Lian. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our workshop. I'm Harshita Suresh, and I'm a counseling psychologist at Mindtrap. I predominantly work with cases of anxiety, depression, relationship issues, and stress. Thank you for joining us today. We hope to have a very interactive session with you guys. Over to you, Guntasha. You can begin.
All right, so today we'll be talking about what the vagus nerve is, and along with that, we'll be understanding various aspects associated with it before moving ahead with understanding the science behind vagus nerve reset. And then we'll be seeing certain practical techniques that we can use for vagus nerve reset while also understanding how we can integrate it into our daily lives. Next slide, please. All right. So before we begin, let us start by seeing whether we know certain facts or certain information about the vagus nerve. Yes, this workshop is being recorded. All right. So you can put your questions in the chat box. You can put your answers in the chat box for these questions. So the first question is, what is the thing that you might have heard about the vagus nerve? So it helps with relaxing and digestion of food. It can be stimulated to help with anxiety and depression, all of the above or none of the above. All right, I see some answers. C, about all of the above. And definitely for this question, there is no right or wrong answer. This is just a general question to understand a little more about the vagus nerve. All right, I see a lot of answers. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. So, how long do you think the vagus nerve is? Approximately 5 to 7 inches, approximately 10 to 12 inches, or 15 to 18 inches? Yes, Sri, you wanted to share something? All right. I see some people have written B. All right. So, yes, the correct answer is B, approximately 10 to 12 inches. Next question, please. The vagus nerve is responsible for regulating heart rate. True or false? What do you guys think about it? Aviram says true. Yes, yes, there are answers of true. All right, yes, so the correct answer is true. Next slide, please. So now we'll be looking into understanding what the vagus nerve is. So the vagus nerve is also known as vagal nerves, and this is a nerve which is a main part of a parasympathetic nervous system running from our brain to our large intestine. And you can see that in the photo attached with it, where it shows how it's connected from our brain to the large intestine. Vagus nerve, like I said, is the main part of the parasympathetic nervous system. So, what exactly is the parasympathetic nervous system? So, the PNNS, PSNS is one of the two major divisions of the larger autonomic system in our body, and its function is to keep the basic functions of our body working as they should. So it promotes relaxation, maintains normal bodily functions. It helps in activities such as digestion, slowing heart rate. It influences the constriction of the pupils, facilitating rest and recovery during non-stressful situations. So, can you move to the next slide, please? So, vagus is a Latin word for wandering, and our vagal nerve takes a long, winding course through the body, and it exits through the medulla oblongata in our lower brainstem, and then it passes through the nerves connecting to our neck, chest, heart, lungs, and abdomen and digestive tract. What it does is, while passing through all these body parts, it provides that signal from our brain to our body to regulate our heart rate, our taste, our speech, our skin sensations, muscle sensations, immune responses, respiratory rate, blood pressure, our saliva production, digestion, frequent urination, and even our mood. And understanding how the vagus nerve can influence the whole body is a very important aspect. Next slide, please. So, the vagus nerve holds significant importance due to its diverse role in regulating various physiological functions and its impact on overall health and well being. The autonomic nervous system control, where our primary nerve of the parasympathetic nervous system, the vagus nerve, helps in maintaining the balance in this nervous system, and it regulates all our body functions which are essential for survival. When we look at our heart rate, the vagus nerve plays a crucial role in regulating heart rate, cardiac function, its ability to slow down the heart rate during periods of relaxation and in rest. It contributes to our cardiovascular health and stability all over our life. When we look at our digestive functions, by controlling digestive processes such as secretion of digestive enzymes, smooth muscle contraction, our gastrointestinal tract, vagus nerve supports all of these essential digestion processes and also even contributes to the nutrient absorption in our body. When we try and understand our stress responses, the vagus nerve helps in modulate the body's response to stress by promoting relaxation, dampening the effects of sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for our flight and fright response. When we try and understand it for our emotional regulation, we can understand that it helps in emotionally regulating through the vagal tone, which we'll be looking up next, and helps us in stress management, improving our mood, and providing an overall emotional stability all throughout our lives. Overall, it is a very intricate nerve that involves in regulating the most vital bodily functions, and it contributes to the overall health and resilience of an individual. Can we move to the next slide, please? So the vagal tone, like we spoke about the vagal tone in the previous slide, vagal tone represents the strength, the efficiency of the vagus nerve activation in influencing these responses in our body. It dysfunction of yes, definitely. A lot of times with our cardiovascular system, the nerves are connected and they send these signals from our brain. So, a lot of times when there is a fault in this vagal tone, which is the activation of the vagus nerve, there can be cardiovascular problems that might arise for an individual. Did somebody raise their hand? All right. So we'll move on with understanding what the vagal tone is. So the vagal tone is the representation of strength and efficiency of the vagus nerve's activation, and it reflects the balance between parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system activities. So why is it important? It is important for the autonomic balance that our body requires, because it maintains that balance between these two nervous systems, which is crucial for our well-being. And the vagal tone is a central part which helps in achieving this balance by modulating the physiological responses to stress and promoting relaxation in these times, and also in times when there is an absence of it. So it helps us regain our strength. With in terms of relaxation, definitely individuals who have the optimal level of vagal tone, they have increased relaxation, reduced physiological arousal, and this can help in promoting lower rates of heart rates, which is more relaxing. It helps in relaxing the muscles. It helps in decreased blood pressure. It helps in improving digestion. So, an all indicative state of relaxation is understood by the individual, and they are more at ease when the optimal level of vagal tone is achieved. When looking at resilience, stress resilience is also a very important aspect that, with higher tone, can help individuals recover quickly from stressful situations and show greater emotional stability in those moments. And the well regulated parasympathetic system contributes to this, because of which the body's responses and the equilibrium is more equal. And all of this is controlled and influenced by the vagus nerve. Can we move to the next? All right. So while understanding the role, while understanding the vagal tone, an important thing to understand is the factors that can influence this vagal tone: genetics, stress management techniques that we use, the social support that we have, and the environmental influences. All of these have an influence on how the vagal tone is getting activated or not reaching that optimal level. When we look at genetics, individual differences are a baseline that contribute to the responsiveness of the vagal tone. And some people naturally have a lower, or some have a higher vagal tone based on their inherent traits. When we see lifestyle factors like physical activity, exercise, sleep, diet, all these also contribute to how the vagal tone is functioning in an individual's body. Having regular exercise can promote cardiovascular health, and that means that the parasympathetic nervous system is being activated due to the optimal level of vagal tone. Sleep quality can help individuals in maintaining that relaxed restorative state, which also enlists a more resilience in an individual. The diet, balanced diet, having healthy fats, can help in supporting overall health and influence the vagal tone. when we look at the stress management techniques. So, the stress management techniques that an individual applies to managing how they are affected and influenced by the stress can help in understanding how the vagal tone is influenced by all of this. People who engage in deep breathing, meditation, body muscle relaxation can, in a lot of ways, feel that these methods are influencing the promotion of parasympathetic nervous system, hence helping the vagal tone enhance that equilibrium in their body. When we look at social support, the positive relationships that are around them, the emotional support that people get from people around can boost the vagal tone. And this is very beneficial, not just in engaging in social activities, but also maintaining those close relationships that we form around us. Lastly, environmental influence. So, spending time in nature, spending time in stress free, calming environments can also influence the soothing effects on our vagal tone. Can we move to the next slide, please? Now, how can we enhance this vagal tone? Practicing mindfulness and deep breathing relaxations, like a 10-minute mindful breathing each morning, can help us work on creating that environment around us to promote that vagal tone. Engaging in activities like yoga can help us in learning new relaxation techniques. Regular physical activity, performing aerobic exercises, walking, running, like daily walks, or having targets for us for running around, they can all help in contributing the parasympathetic nervous system and hence enhancing our vagal tone. Fostering social connections, so building supportive relationships, participating in social activities like having weekly outings with friends, with family, can all help us foster these connections, which are a very strong influencing factor in enhancing our vagal tone. So, identifying and minimizing long term stressors like having daily goals or maybe detangling tasks at work to avoid burnout can help us prevent the burnout of or lowering of our vagal tone. So, do fruits count? Yes, definitely. A balanced diet includes fruits. It includes healthy food that we eat. Includes a mixture of dry fruits that can help us get all nutrients from natural things that can help us maintain that lifestyle, maintain the vagal tone, and keep our body healthy. Stress management strategies that we use can also contribute to it. So now let us try and understand why we are looking at vagus nerve activation today. Why are we trying to understand that? What is the importance of it? And to understand that, we need to understand the impact that the vagus nerve activation has on our body. It impacts us in three different ways. First is with the decreased heart rate. So the vagus nerve sends signals to our heart, which leads into the decreased heart rate, which is called bradycardia. And this process can help in promoting calmness, relaxation. It can help us in fighting the stress around us. It can help us in managing better with the heightened responses that come up in our body when we are in a stressful situation. So it helps in all these aspects, avoiding us to feel burnt out, avoiding us to be in a cardiovascular situation where we need medical interventions to help us. So maintaining that activation of vagus nerve can help us strongly in how we are feeling more relaxed and stress free. Lower blood pressure So the vagal tone, when it gets activated, the vagus nerve gets activated, and that leads to the widening of our blood vessels, which lowers the blood pressure. This reduces the strain on our cardiovascular system and helps in relaxation. It lowers the blood pressure, which is associated directly with reducing stress, with reducing tension, and promoting a good lifestyle for us. And lastly, it helps us with deepened breathing. So, vagal activation leads to deeper, more regular breathing patterns, and these stimulate the feeling of being relaxed. More oxygen circulates all throughout our body, which helps us in feeling that equilibrium and that balance. So, all in all, the activation of the vagus nerve controls three very important aspects of our body that control the basic functions like our heart rate, our blood pressure, and our breathing. So, understanding how we can activate this vagus nerve is very important. And throughout this workshop, we'll be looking at the science behind it. We'll be understanding. Somebody's mic is on. Can you please mute yourself? All right. So throughout this workshop, we'll be learning different aspects of it. We'll be understanding the science behind it. We'll be seeing how different techniques can be used for it and how to incorporate it into our lives. Over to you, Harshita.
Thank you, Gundasha. So we'll be moving on to the next topic, which is the science behind vagus nerve reset. So under that, we'll be talking about vagus nerve stimulation and its effects on physical and mental health first. So to talk about that, vagus nerve stimulation is a treatment that involves delivering electrical impulses to the vagus nerve, and it is done by running from the brain through the neck and into the chest and abdomen. It is primarily used to treat certain types of neurological conditions like epilepsy as well as depression. So, first, we'll understand how it works. So, there are two things that we need to understand regarding this. The first being device and placement. So, a small device which is similar to a pacemaker is surgically implanted under the skin in the chest, and then a wire from that device is wrapped around the vagus nerve in the neck. Next, with respect to the electrical impulses, this particular device will generate regular but mild form of electrical impulses that will be transmitted to the brain through the vagus nerve, and these impulses will help to regulate the electrical brain activity and the neurotransmitter levels as well, which will be predominantly helpful in controlling seizures and improving mood. Next, we move on to the applications. So there are three applications. One is epilepsy. So it is used when epilepsy is not usually controlled through medications, and it is also used to help reduce the frequency and intensity of seizures. However, it cannot eliminate them completely, it can only reduce them. And next, in the case of depression, so it is used for treatment resistant depression, where clients do not respond to standard therapies such as antidepressants or any form of psychotherapy as well. The next one being other potential uses, where it is also used in treatments of anxiety disorders, chronic pain, Alzheimer's disease, as well as migraine prevention as well. Next is effects on physical health. Just give me a moment, please. Yes. So the first one is epilepsy management. So it helps reduce the frequency and severity of seizures in many patients who have epilepsy, like I had mentioned previously. And next would be heart rate regulation. The vagus nerve is actually playing a very crucial role in controlling heart rate. So it can help regulate heartbeat, and especially in conditions where regulating the heartbeat is very significant, and such as heart arrhythmias or something like that. Next one is inflammation reduction. So, the vagus nerve influences the production of certain types of proteins that play a role in inflammation. So, it has been proven to show that it will decrease inflammation, which can also be beneficial for an individual's autoimmune and chronic inflammatory conditions. The last effect that it has on physical health is related to gut function. Because the vagus nerve also influences digestion, it can also affect gastrointestinal issues and also the production of digestive enzymes, which contribute to helping in different forms of digestive disorders. Next, we'll be moving on to the effects on mental health. So, there are again four different effects on mental health. So, the first one being depression. Vagus nerve stimulation can have a significant impact on treatment resistant depression, where the usual form of treatments have not been proven to be successful. It works by altering the neurotransmitter levels in the brain, which will in turn contribute to regulating the individual's mood. The second being anxiety reduction. Although vagus nerve stimulation is primarily studied for depression, there is also certain studies that have shown that it can help anxiety as well by modulating the brain's response to stress. Next is mood stabilization. So, beyond treating depression and anxiety, it can also help stabilize mood in other disorders like certain types of mood disorders like bipolar disorder. Next, being cognitive effects. So, there have been evidences that suggest that stimulating the vagus nerve can enhance certain cognitive functions. So, next we move on to how vagus nerve reset techniques work. So, we'll be talking about two categories of techniques here. So, the first being promotion of relaxation and stress reduction, and the second being improvement of resilience. So, moving on to promotion of relaxation and stress reduction, there are a couple of techniques here. So, the first is breathing techniques. So, techniques like deep breathing, slow deep breathing can increase the activation of vagus nerve. So, for example, when you breathe deeply, it physically massages the nerve, which can then trigger a relaxation response in the body. This will in turn lower the heart rate and blood pressure, both of which are controlled by the vagus nerve. The next technique is cold exposure. So, here, brief exposure to cold, such as splashing cold water on your face or taking a cold shower, can stimulate the vagus nerve. This leads to a decrease in the body's fight or flight response and increases the parasympathetic response, which will in turn promote relaxation. And the last one is gentle yoga and meditation. So, these activities are usually known to increase the parasympathetic activity, and hence they will give the calming and mindful aspects of yoga and meditation, which will help enhance vagal tone. So, moving on to the next part, which is improvement of resilience. So, the first one is gargling, singing, and humming. So, these three activities are found to stimulate the vagus nerve, where it is connected in the area that is the throat. Regularly engaging in these activities can improve vagal tone over time and help the body to switch more efficiently between stress and relaxation states. The next one is social engagement and connection. So, the vagus nerve is also involved in controlling muscles on the face and neck, which are predominantly used in facial expressions and vocalization during social interaction. So, these positive social interactions can also stimulate the vagus nerve and reinforce the role it has in relaxing and calming the body, which will again in turn enhance emotional well being and resilience. So, lastly, we want to talk about how it has an impact on health. So, improving vagal tone through the reset techniques that we just talked about can have broad health implications. So, for example, higher vagal tone has been associated with better mood, less anxiety, and improved emotional regulation. Additionally, these techniques can also contribute to physical health by improving heart rate variability, which is also an indicator of cardiovascular health and an adaptable nervous system. So, in summary, vagus nerve reset techniques can be very valuable tools when it comes to managing stress, promoting relaxation, and improving overall emotional and physical resilience as well. So, if it's done regularly, everyone can potentially enhance their quality of life and overall health. Over to you, Kanishka.
So now that we've learned about what the vagus nerve is and what its impact is on mental health, let's discuss about some practical techniques on how we can reset our vagus nerve. Next slide, please. Thank you. So basically, these practical techniques offer an accessible and effective way to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And as we know, the parasympathetic nervous system plays a crucial role in regulating many bodily functions like heart rate, digestion, and immune response. So, by activating the parasympathetic nervous system, we can promote relaxation, reduce stress, and enhance overall well being. Next slide, please. Thank you. So, we will discuss three types of breathing exercises. These are practical techniques that we all can actually use to reset our vagus nerve. So, these include the diaphragmatic breathing technique, the 478 breathing technique, and alternate nostril breathing technique. So, let's take a look at what diaphragmatic breathing actually is. So these are the steps, right? I'm gonna explain the steps, and also we're gonna watch a short video to practically see how to, go ahead and do this exercise. So diaphragmatic breathing is also known as belly breathing. And although most of us may already breathe with our bellies, this is a structured and guided breathing technique that will be beneficial if the instructions are followed as mentioned, right? So if you're a beginner, it could be easier to lie down or even sit in a comfortable position as per your choice. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your abdomen. Now, this is important, right? Inhale deeply through your nose. Let your belly or stomach rise up as you fill your lungs with air. And then exhale slowly through your mouth and feel your stomach falling back down. Repeat this process around 3 to 4 times or as many times as you want, as you're comfortable with doing. And focus on the sensation of your breath moving in and out of your body. So why do we do this, right? A few benefits are that there's enhanced oxygen exchange, right? It improves the efficiency of oxygen delivery to our body cells. It reduces stress. It lowers our blood pressure. It improves core stability. So it basically strengthens the diaphragm and our abdomen muscles. And also it encourages better posture. So let's take a look at the video. You can also do it along with the video if you like. Can we move on to the next slide, please, and take a look at this short video?
It may be helpful to place one of your hands on your stomach to really feel that rising and falling in the stomach. And as we breathe in, we're breathing in through the nose, pushing the belly outwards with the breath. And on the exhale, we're breathing out through the mouth, drawing the belly inwards.
All right, so it's okay. There was a little bit of a glitch in the video, and if anyone would like the video, like if you want me to share the video, I can share it in our workshop group as well. Someone is unmuted. Please mute yourself. All right. So now the second technique is 4-7-8 breathing. Right? So in this technique, you inhale for 4 seconds, right? So in that part, you have to focus on filling your lungs completely, expanding your diaphragm rather than just your chest, right? So this ensures deep and efficient breathing. So once you've inhaled for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 7 seconds. And this part of the exercise helps you oxygenate your blood, and it gives us a moment of stillness. Finally, exhale slowly for 8 seconds while making a whoosh sound, right? So we exhale through our mouth. Ensure that the exhalation is slow and controlled. Allow your body to release the tension and relax along with it. Repeat this pattern for around 4 rounds at least. Allow yourself to relax more deeply with each exhalation, and each time you exhale, let go of stress, let go of the tensions that are in your body, and relax all of your muscles along with that as well. Right? So, why should we do this? It's because it reduces anxiety, it improves sleep, it lowers our heart rate, and it enhances focus and clarity. And we would think, okay, I understand how to do this, but when am I supposed to do this? Do I just sit and do it at any point, or do I have to do it at a particular time? So you can do this before bed. You can do this technique in stressful situations whenever you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed, right? It can help you regain that sense of calm. You can even do it throughout the day. So you can integrate this technique into your daily routine as a quick relaxation tool, especially during breaks at work, or even like if you're in college. So maybe between the day you can do this. And you can also do this after a challenging task, right? So that you can regulate your emotions, you can regulate your breathing, everything with this technique. So let's take a look at a small video. Hopefully it plays well, but I will send the videos in our group later on so that you guys can take a look. And also this is getting recorded, so you can come back and see this at any point in the future as well. So let's take a look at this short video on how to do 4-7-8 breathing. So you breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 7 seconds. And then breathe out through your mouth for 8 seconds. I hope that made sense. Please give me a thumbs up if these two techniques is something that you understood till now. All right, that's great. That's great. Thank you so much. Now, alternate nostril breathing, right? It sounds so, it sounds like such a big word, but it's also known as Nadi Shodhana in the yogic practices of pranayam, basically. right? So you sit in a comfortable position with your spine straight, right? So you can sit on a chair or you can sit cross-legged on the floor as well. Close your right nostril with your right thumb and inhale deeply through your left nostril. Then close your left nostril with your ring finger and exhale completely through your right nostril. Then again inhale through your right nostril and close it with your thumb and exhale through the left nostril. You can continue this alternate pattern for several rounds and maintain a smooth and steady breath. So why is this beneficial, right? What is the point of doing this? It balances the energy channels in our body, right? So the various nadis, as they say in yogic practices. So it helps you balance those energy channel and it promotes overall harmony and well-being. Again, it reduces stress and anxiety. It enhances concentration. It also strengthens the respiratory system and improves lung capacity, and it promotes relaxation as well, right? So again, now when do we use this, right? If you are someone that meditates, you prefer meditating, so at that point you can do this breathing technique before meditation. You can do it during stressful situations. You can do it before sleeping, right? You can integrate it throughout your day as well as a part of your routine, right? So at any point where you're feeling that you're overwhelmed, and the main baseline of these techniques is that it's not going to cause harm, right? If you do it correctly, if you follow the instructions, it's not going to harm you at all. So let's take a look at how to exactly do alternate nostril breathing by seeing this short video.
An alternate nostril breathing exercise. It's a great way to calm the nervous system and an effective stress reliever that everyone can practice at any point throughout the day. To start the exercise, come into a comfortable sitting position. Ensure that your spine is long and rest the backs of your hands on your knees, with your palms facing up towards the ceiling. Bring your right hand up, make sure your index and middle finger are touching, and then bend those fingers in towards the palm. Place your thumb against your right nostril and inhale through the left nostril. Then, move your hand to place your ring finger and little finger against the left nostril as you release the thumb and exhale out through the right nostril. Inhale through the right and then swap over and exhale out through the left. This is the alternate nostril breathing exercise.
Right, so I hope that was clear. Now, other than breathing exercises, mindfulness and meditation is also very helpful, right? So mindfulness meditation involves cultivating present moment awareness and non-judgmental acceptance of our experiences, right? This practice has shown to positively impact the vagal tone, promoting relaxation and emotional regulation. So vagal tone, as we know, refers to the activity of the vagus nerve, which is a key part of the parasympathetic nervous system, right? A higher vagal tone is associated with better physical and mental health, including improved emotional regulation, reduced stress, and enhanced relaxation. So we will be discussing 3 techniques. We'll be discussing mindful breathing, body scan meditation, and loving kindness meditation. So let's take a look at what mindful breathing actually is. So as you engage in deep breathing exercises, bring mindfulness to the sensations of your breath, right? So being mindful means being in the present, being in the now. You may realize that we may find ourselves constantly either living in the past, right? Thinking about the past or thinking about the future. So bringing ourselves into the present moment reality is very important, and that's what mindfulness is, right? So notice the rise and fall of your abdomen, the coolness of the air as you inhale, the warmth as you exhale, right? So that is what being mindful about your sensation is, where you notice the small parts about it, right? If you can feel the, the air going in as you breathe, right? All of those things as I just mentioned. And whenever your mind wanders, gently guide your attention back to your breathing, right? And that will cultivate a sense of presence and calm as well, right? So, why is this beneficial for us, right? It promotes relaxation, it helps us focus more, concentrate more as well. It improves emotional regulation and it boosts our physical health as well, right? Just as something as small as being present and noticing, being mindful about our breathing can help us in so many ways. Our next technique is body scan meditation. So I haven't included a video for mindful breathing because that is something that we need to do ourselves, right? We need to notice the various parts of our breathing. So, body scan meditation is something where you need to first find a comfortable position and again bring your attention to your breath, right? Begin to scan your body starting from your toes and moving up to the top of your head, right? So, you start from your toes, right? You feel what your toes are feeling like. You go to your lower leg and knee, your thigh and hip, lower back and abdomen, chest and upper back, shoulders and arms, hands, fingers, neck, throat, face, and head. Right? Notice any sensations, tensions, or areas of discomfort without any judgment. Right? We don't want to judge ourselves over here at all. And with each breath, imagine sending relaxation and ease to each part of your body. Right? This again, it reduces stress, it helps you improve your mind and body connection, it helps you relax more, and it helps you regulate your emotions as well. So, let's take a look at a video and it will help us understand very easily what exactly body scan meditation is.
Just lying down, we're going to focus the attention on the different parts of the body, watching as they switch off for the night, starting down at the feet, muscles in the toes and the arches switching off, the legs, any tension just dissolving as the calves and thighs power down, the muscles in the lower back and the stomach switching off. Now the chest and upper back switching off. The shoulders, the arms, the hands and fingers just switching off. The face, the eyes, the mouth, any tension just melting away as the muscles switch off, shut down, at rest for the night.
So that was so much easier to understand, right? Once we watched the video, how just, switching off and scanning our body and gradually relaxing, right? So please give me a thumbs up if that was clear up until now. Awesome. Good to know that. Now, our final technique is loving kindness meditation. So sit quietly and bring your mind to someone you care about, right? It could be anyone. It could be your parents, it could be your partner, your children, it could be your best friend, it could be anyone that you really care about, and extend heartfelt wishes of well-being and happiness to them. So for example, you can silently say phrases like, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease, and then gradually extend these wishes to yourself. May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, and may I live with ease. And then slowly you can extend this to other loved ones. You can extend these phrases to acquaintances also, and even to those people that you may have difficulties with, right? Extend that love, extend that kindness to them. Silently, also, you can say these phrases if you don't want to say it loudly, right? May you be happy, may I be happy, may that person be happy, right? And the benefits of these are that it increases positive emotions within us, right? It makes us feel the emotions of love, compassion, even joy. It even reduce, and if it increases the positive emotions, it reduces the negative emotions like feelings of anger, resentment. It reduces those feelings, and it also helps us strengthen our social connections, right? It helps us build empathy towards others as well, because we all are, living our lives. We all have our own things that we are dealing with, and everyone does too, right? So in that way, it helps us regulate our emotions, right? Overall, it increases the emotional well-being, and it helps us relax as well. So just to quickly show you what this means, there's a video. I will be sending the videos on the group for you all to take a look at. Can we play the video in the next slide, please?
So you don't have to sit in a special way, but if you want to close your eyes, and we'll be just take two deep breaths in and out, in and out, in and out. Big long breath in and out, and in again and out. And feel yourself sitting here. Feel yourself sitting here. Feel yourself surrounded by all these people. Feel yourself, I hope, happy and content. And say, think in your mind a blessing for yourself. The metta practice, loving kindness practice, always begins with a blessing for yourself. So think for yourself, may I feel safe. Think those words in your mind. May I feel content. May I feel strong. May I live with ease.
So I will be sending these videos. Don't worry about it. Over to Lian for some more practical techniques that we can apply in our daily lives.
Thank you, Kanishka. Harshita, I think you can click a few more times. I think some of the graphics haven't come up yet. Yeah. All right. So earlier during our workshop, Harshita spoke about the various benefits of doing each of these techniques, right? So let's talk about some of the physical movements that we can use to sort of stimulate our vagus nerve, right? So the first one is gargling, right? So this is one way in which we can stimulate our vagus nerve, right? So if you gargle with water in the morning and the evening as well, maybe when you're brushing your teeth. So even if you aim for 30 seconds to 1 minute, that is something that can really help. Second, we talk about humming or singing. Okay, I'd like to hear from you guys. Have you ever found that when you're singing or humming that you feel sort of calmer in some way? You can give me a thumbs up if yes, if someone would like to unmute and tell me about how they feel. Yes, Dipta.
As I said, today morning itself, I almost 15 days in a month, almost I sing with my harmonium, and I feel so good. And whatever the tension, maybe yesterday night also, that gets very quickly released.
Thanks for sharing, right? And this is something that science also has shown, right? When you sing or when you hum, it doesn't matter if you are a good singer or whatever pitch you're singing in, right? You can just turn on your favorite song and just sing along as well. Even laughing, right? Sometimes we've often heard this phrase that laughter is the best medicine, and there is a link with the vagus nerve as well, right? If you're watching a funny TV show or movie and you're actually laughing out loud at the funny parts, if you're with a friend who you always feel happy with, or you just get that extra good sensation when you're with that, right? So that is also something that can help. Then under using your vocal cord, we can also chant Om, right? This is something that is associated with yoga practice, and we'll be talking about yoga as well in a while, right? So if you're just sitting in a quiet space and you're just chanting along Om, right? You should feel that vibration around the ears, which connects to the vagus nerve. So a study done also found that chanting Om was helpful in deactivating certain parts of our limbic system, right? Which is basically the part of the brain that is involved in the stress and the emotional responses. So it deactivates that and it stimulates the vagus nerve. All right. Okay. Next we come on to exercising. Would anybody? Syul? Yes, there are a few slides. We will be talking about physical movements and we will also be talking about how to integrate it in our daily schedule. So that's what we'll be talking about. Okay, so coming to exercise, do any of you exercise regularly, or have you seen any positive changes in terms of your stress response when you do exercise? Would anyone like to share about it? You can give me a thumbs up if you found yourself feeling more positive when you do exercise. Okay. All right. Great. So under exercise, there's two kinds. Yes, Gopinak?
मैडम मेरे को एक क्वेश्चन है मैम. मेरे को GERD है मैम, इसोफेगल रिफ्लेक्स डिसीज फ्रॉम द पास्ट 1.5 year.
ओके.
वो जो स्टार्ट होने के 2 महीने के बाद मैडम पास्ट में मेरा जो पल्स है ना मैडम, हार्ट रेट, वो हार्ट बीट इरेगुलर हो रहा है. एंड मेरा नेक में मैं हार्ट बीट फील हो रहा हूँ मैम, और हेड में हार्ट बीट, और मेरा जो स्टमक में भी. तो मैं बहुत बारे वीडियोस रिसर्च किया हूँ मैं यूट्यूब में. उसमें मेरे को पता हो गया जो वेगस नर्व है वो अपने स्टमक और हार्ट बीट को रेगुलेट करते हैं करके. सो अभी ये सेशन होने के बाद मुझे लग रहा है मेरे को डॉक्टर सजेस्ट किया है कि सर्जरी करवा लो, सो GERD के लिए. तो मेरा क्वेश्चन क्या है मैम, ये GERD सर्जरी फिर वेगस नर्व को कुछ अफेक्ट करता है क्या?
ओके, तो गोपी नायक, आई एम नॉट, मेरा लाइसेंस नहीं है कि मैं आपको मेडिकल एडवाइस दूं, राइट? सो इट वुड नॉट बी फेयर अगर मैं बताऊं कि इस सर्जरी के क्या इफेक्ट्स होंगे. इस पे बेटर होगा कि आप अपने डॉक्टर से बात करें और वो आपको बताएंगे कि उसके साइड इफेक्ट्स क्या हो सकते हैं, राइट? Because this is not my area of specialization and it would not be fair for me to answer this question.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So when we're talking about exercise, right, there's two kinds over here. One is endurance training, where basically you do long periods of continuous interval training, which as the name says, you do exercise. So under endurance, it could be running, cycling, swimming. Okay. So Gopinayak was basically asking about a certain medical concern that he had and its effects on the vagus nerve. Unfortunately, that is not my area, so I would not be commenting on that. All right. So under endurance, running, cycling, swimming, brisk walking, even 30 to 45 minutes of each of these could be considered as endurance training. When it comes to interval training, HIIT is something that you might have come across, especially on social media platforms, right? That is high intensity interval training. So you exercise at maximum effort for a short duration. For example, if you sprint for 30 seconds and then you walk or jog slowly for 1 to 2 minutes, and then you keep repeating this for like half an hour or so. So doing this, maybe cycling the same way, swimming, something called Tabata training is also something you might have heard. So both of these kind of exercises can stimulate your vagus nerve. Okay. So, and remember to warm up, cool down, and do consult any healthcare professionals if you do have underlying health concerns over here. Okay. Next, we come to massages, which involves reflexology. Yes, Tanisha? Um, did you say something? I'm not able to hear you. Okay, no worries, maybe some technical issues. So when we talk about reflexology, right, you might have noticed some things like where you mark out certain areas of the foot, and each of that area represents or corresponds to a certain part of your body, right? So reflexology massage has been found to be effective in stimulating the vagus nerve. We also talk about auricular massage, which is basically massage of the ears. I will not be going into detail over here, but after the workshop, I will be sharing some videos which you can try out and see if that helps you out when it comes to the massage part. Okay, so now we'll be moving on to yoga. Harshita, can you move to the next slide? Okay, so when we come to yoga, right? So some of these poses we do in our regular life without even realizing. Okay, so let's talk about these. The first a waterfall pose. So basically here you lie on your back near a wall, you lift your leg up and then you rest them vertically against the wall. And you also relax your arms on the side, right? The next is the cat cow pose. Harshita, if you could play that short video over there. So here you basically start on your hands and knees. You inhale, then you arch your back, which is the cow pose. Then you exhale and you round your spine, which is the cat pose. And you keep repeating this for several breaths, right? Then third, we talk about the forward bend, which is you stand that are you keep them hip width apart. Then you bend forward at the hips, and you just let your head and your arms hang towards the floor, right? And you can keep your knees slightly bent over. Fourth, we talk about the supine spinal twist. Here also we can see a video where if you lie on your back and you draw one knee to your chest and cross it over to the opposite side, you extend your arms out and you gaze the opposite ways. And then you keep repeating it and you hold and you switch sides as well. And finally, we talk about the child's pose, right, which is the balasana. So you kneel and you sit back on your heels, you extend your arms forward and you lower your torso to the ground and you rest your forehead on the mat, right? So this is something that we see in different religions as well, right? Sometimes when you're praying, you might assume this position and that actually helps you in stimulating your vagus nerve, in turn gives you that sense of calm. So these are some of the movements that we can incorporate in our life when it comes to the yoga part of it. Okay, move on to the next slide, Harshita. Okay. Then earlier today, yes.
Ma'am, can you hear me now?
Yes, Tanisha.
Ma'am, actually, I have a question. Like, I am suffering from two disorders, but I wanted to know, like, if this is something new to me. Like, my thinking process is went automatic. Like, some of the things I never used to think of the same, but I always feel like, yes, this is something automatic. Like I'm not thinking about it, but it is somewhere. I think it is my thought, but in reality I feel like no, this is not my thought, but this is going on. I'm thinking about it continuously. I don't know what it is. Like it feels
Mhm.
like I'm thinking it is automatic. It is not in my hand. So like,
Okay.
what should I do with that? Like, how can I
Okay.
handle
All
that?
right. Okay. So, Tanisha, that definitely sounds like a difficult situation to deal with, right? Those thoughts are coming, and you seem to have no sort of exact control over those automatic thoughts,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So, I would definitely suggest that you take up personal sessions so we can understand what you are going through in depth, right? To be able to actually understand it. These exercises that we are discussing today can definitely be something additional, right? But it is definitely not a replacement for individual therapy, right?
Okay,
It
ma'am.
can be used as an adjunct, right, to sort of help your body to calm down in a physical sense, right?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
No. Yes, Gopinath?
Ma'am, is gut health issues are definitely affect the vagus nerve, ma'am.
Sorry, I wasn't able to hear you. Could you please repeat?
मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ, जो गट हेल्थ इश्यूज रहते हैं ना मैडम, वो डेफिनेटली वेगस नर्व को अफेक्ट करती है क्या?
Okay, I think Guntasha has answered a similar question in about gut health. Guntasha has
और
been speaking.
और इट इज रिवर्सिबल, मतलब वेगस नर्व अफेक्ट द गट हेल्थ, इस दोनों में क्या है मैम?
I'm not able to understand your question. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if it's the network issues. If you could type it out, okay?
ओके मैम, ओके,
Okay. Thank you. All right.
थैंक यू मैम.
Yes, Kanishka, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so just to answer the question, so see, ऐसा नहीं है कि इसकी वजह से इस पे affect होता है. It's not like one thing affects the other like that. They both are simultaneously like a part of each other. ऐसा नहीं है that because of this happens, or because of this happens. They work together parallelly. Does that make sense?
थैंक यू मैम. थैंक्स फॉर क्लैरिटी.
Okay. Yes, XY. Okay, no issues. All right. So,
Yeah, ma'am.
yes,
Yeah, can I?
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am. First of all, thank you so much for the lovely session. It was quite, you can say, like, it is helping me out for the further things like which I'm tackling with my daughter. So I would like to ask you on one part, ma'am. My daughter is preparing for competitive exams all India level. So what is happening, like whenever she prepare, like she is giving her best that I can see, because I'm also from education system. But the thing is, like, when she goes to appear for the exam, the same time, like, she gets panic and she gets anxiety or whatever, I don't know. But what she is telling me that, she is having that thing in her mind that I want to do the best. That's why she keeps on missing out the things. So in competitive, like when you struggle on one thing, like, you miss out the other part. So it is very important to cope up with the time. So in this case, ma'am, how can I help her? Like, or do I need to take a personal one-to-one with you? Like, can you please guide me on this?
Yes.
Because
Thank you.
every time she is facing the same situation, even though, like, how I am able to, I am able to know this thing, because see, if in the examination hall, if she is not able to solve certain type of questions, when she comes back home, we don't ask her, but like, she doesn't go directly to the solution, but she is doing same sums in, you can say, less than 5 minutes. So I believe that that atmosphere, or that performance pressure, or I don't know, like something is really troubling her, and it is really giving problem like mentally, and you can say that her mental health is definitely affecting. So can you please guide me on this, ma'am?
Yes, definitely. So first of all, thank you for your question, right? Exams are definitely stressful, right? And in cases like this, it might be even more sort of that you feel that pressure when you are in that exam setting, right? So the exercises that we have discussed today, maybe you could suggest those to your daughter, right, to try out if she likes, right? So there is this mind-body connection, right? So when we calm our body down, it translates onto our mind as well. So that might help her think with a clearer mind, right? At the same time, this is something that you can try out, but to address more at a deeper level, if you do want to come in for personal sessions, then you can definitely do that as well, right? To sort of be able to address the thoughts that she might be struggling with about I have to do this perfectly or I have to be the best at this. While it might be pushing her to study better, it might also be pressurizing her so much that it's causing her harm as well. So if that is something that you want to look into, then definitely you should come for individual sessions as well.
Okay, ma'am, is it possible to take the one-to-one session online, right, ma'am?
Yes, we conduct all our sessions online itself.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So, coming to cold water immersion, right? This involves very simple techniques, right? Like maybe taking an ice pack and placing it on your face or on the back of your neck. You could take a cold shower or even take a dip in like a very cold pool, right? And finally, something a bit more fun, which is dancing, right? It's like a combination of exercise and increased breathing. If you're singing or humming while dancing, or if you're doing with somebody else, right? You sort of make it like a whole package of vagus nerve stimulation, right? Um, okay. Then, Harshita, can we move to the next slide? Okay. So there is also an additional technique called biofeedback. This is something that you can only do at a clinic or a hospital, so I would not be going into detail. But what helps over here is basically you help train your body to reset the vagus nerve because it makes you more aware of your physiological responses and it promotes relaxation. Okay? Okay, we can move to the next slide now. So now we will be talking about how we can integrate these techniques into our daily life, right? Because we have discussed the techniques, but how do we make sure that we are actually practicing them? So to start off, Harshita. Okay, so these are some of the techniques that we have discussed today, right? So just a summary of them all: deep breathing, meditation, cold exposure, stretching, singing, laughing, humming, social connections, exercising, diets, gratitude practices, right? So these are the techniques that we have discussed. Moving on. So we are going to do it in sort of a 2-month tracker sort of a thing. So we will be doing on a weekly basis. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. So the first step in integrating these techniques is in the first week, you basically observe what is your current routine like. So are there any certain gaps of time that you can take out to incorporate these techniques in your daily life, right? It could be 30 minutes, it could be 1 hour, right? Whatever time you are getting, just try to identify that pocket. Okay. Then once you've identified this, we start off with very small and achievable goals, right? We don't want to overwhelm ourselves by taking on something that is a huge task and then demotivating ourselves in the process, right? So you can choose maybe 1 or 2 techniques to start with, right? So if you decide to do cold water exposure and you decide to do body scan meditation, right? These are the 2 that you've decided. So into weeks 2 to 3, just try in that pocket that you've identified. So maybe for 30 minutes, you try and do these 2 activities daily, right? That is it. Then week, like these 1 and 2 techniques are getting incorporated into your life very easily, or you've gotten used to it, then you can try incorporating a third exercise as well. right? So in the third step, we set specific times to do each of these activities. So in the fifth and sixth week, maybe in the morning for just 5 minutes, you can do some deep breathing exercises, right? And maybe you can set an alarm to help yourself in this, right? To just remind yourself. Then in the afternoon, maybe for 10 minutes, you can engage in mindfulness meditation. So these are just examples, right? You can definitely select the activities that you feel are more relevant and more useful for you, right? So again, you can keep an alarm. Maybe you can ask somebody else to remind you. If you're somebody who prefers a physical calendar, then you can also write it down on your calendar, right? So for 10 minutes, you can do that in the afternoon. And in the evening, you can take some exposure for maybe 30 seconds to 1 minute, right? We don't want us catching a cold as well in this process. So it can be very, very short timings as well, right? And finally, the last step would be you can, like we discussed earlier, right? Setting reminders, you can set alarms, just to give us that push, because as humans, we might tend to forget certain things, right? So just to help us in the process. Okay, next. And like in the first 2-3 weeks, we have slowly increased our techniques, right? You can slowly also increase the duration. So here, instead of 5 minutes, then we move on to 10 minutes. Then from 10, we go to 15, right? So deep breathing exercises, mindfulness meditation, which you had done before, you increase 5 minutes in that. Then you can try incorporating new yoga pose, or if you want to add, right? So increasing techniques, you can also increase duration. Okay, next. And something to remember over here is to track your progress, right? So sometimes it might feel that why am I not feeling any changes? I'm not seeing anything. All of this is useless, right? So that is why over here it is important to make sure that you are monitoring your progress. So it helps you feel accountable as well. And it also helps you note that you are making progress, right? It might be in small steps, but it is definitely progress. And you should allow yourself to celebrate these achievements. So something you can incorporate here is gratitude practice, right? You can say, for my own improvement, right? So remember to celebrate those achievements as well. Even though it might feel silly in the moment, it is something that helps us keep going. Okay. And some of the common obstacles that you might face here is, you might find that you're not being able to stay consistent, or you might find that your schedule is not flexible enough for this, or you might find that sometimes you're not enjoying it, right? So if consistency is something that you're struggling with, you can check if are my goals too overwhelming? Is there any reason I might be avoiding this, right? If it is feeling too overwhelming, you can always reduce the duration, you can always reduce the techniques, right? If your schedule is not feeling flexible enough, then you can focus more on the duration, right? If 10 minutes is too much, if 30 minutes is too much, you can just focus on doing 2 minutes, 5 minutes, right? That is something maybe we could try incorporating, right? And finally, if enjoyment is something that you're feeling you're not getting, then you can definitely try modifying these exercises as well. You can try doing it with somebody you like. You can invite a friend, you can invite somebody from your home to do it with, right? So that it just ensures that you're not getting annoyed with these exercises, you're not starting to hate the exercises, right? Because your enjoyment is also important. Okay, next. Harshita, can you take over for this?
Yes. Thank you, Leon. So here at Mindtrap, we just want to let you guys know what are the different things we do here. So we provide counseling services at an affordable rate based on the seniority, and the sessions are for 45 minutes duration. And to also make it more affordable, we have provided different packages for each of the rates as well. And finally, as a token of our appreciation for your participation, we would like to offer 3 individuals the opportunity for a free session. So these details will be communicated through the WhatsApp groups in the coming days. So you guys can read the message and reach out to any of us. So the first 3 people will be offered one free session followed by paid sessions. So yes, we do provide individual counseling, and we have free group therapies as well, which are spanned out across 12-week programs. There are various topics that happen on a regular basis. So you can also join if you feel like you'd benefit out of a particular group therapy or even multiple group therapies. And apart from that, we also have different mental health resources like self help tutorials, guided meditation, and podcasts related to mental health, which are available on our YouTube channel. So please feel free to go through those as well. And if you do require counseling, you can reach out to us, or you can go to the website, which is www.mindtribe.in, and register yourselves and book a session as well. So that pretty much concludes our workshop today. Thank you guys for being very interactive and listening as well. So now we have a couple of minutes for you guys if you have any questions.